This conference will now be recorded. This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a regular meeting of the Communication Committee. It is May 29th, 2025. Time is 7 p.m., and this is the call to order. We're going to start off things real quick with everybody just going around the room, saying their name. We're trying out a Otter transcript, and if you say your name, it can sometimes recognize your voice and help out with the transcripts. It's something we're testing out. So I am Chris Martin, chair of the committee.
Emily LaRoche, volunteer.
Lou Lorraine.
Esther Gulaki, ex officio member.
Mark Spiral.
Ed Kamau.
John Ritter, select board.
You did so well.
Okay. You came in as Esther Milwaukee, but so yeah, things to check out. Yeah. Okay, so first item up real quick is the approval of minutes from May 8th.
I believe the committee has all had a chance to review the minutes, and so I would make a motion to pass the minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Minutes approved. Education and training report real quick. Anybody do any fun educational stuff?
I went and looked at the MMA on AI today.
Excellent. You watched it?
I watched it.
That's enough.
I'm going to say there's a lot of jargon in there, but I watched it. Yeah.
And I went for part of the open meeting law Q&A that they had the other day. I did that.
All right. Not necessarily fully communication worthy, but I watched a flourish.com part 1 and part 2 of fundamentals of data storytelling and designing for impact, all around how to display data and information and graphs in a way that is helpful to people, instead of just like putting numbers up and whatnot. So, hopefully that helps with us in going forward with some of our other stuff.
And the reason we do this, John, is so we can document in the minutes what kind of training we're doing. So at the end of the year, it's easier to generate a report. So.
Yeah. Okay, excellent.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is it only videos, or what if we were, for example, reading a book or doing something else?
Oh, absolutely.
That is education.
Lou attended a public speaking class.
I know.
So yeah, anything.
Because I asked him whether it worked.
That's right, yes.
Just reminding him.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm rewinding the video and recording, but that's what happened. But yeah, any sort of reading, videos, other stuff, whatever you've done that you believe has improved your knowledge of expertise of communication.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. On to item number 4, meeting with our new select board member, John Ritter. John, congratulations on your win. Welcome to, you've been in public service. You've been on the finance committee. Yeah. So I invited John in here, as we do with all of the select board members that or we try to with all the select board members, is to get them in here and just have a quick discussion on their views of communication and just a friendly get to meet you. And we tend to be a pretty active committee. I'm sure you've seen some of it already. And, just to recognize faces and start conversations and get on everybody's good side. So a lot of times it'll start with a intro of who the communication committee is, so that you get a better idea as well. I don't know if that's necessary this time or not. You've been in town government, like I said, and probably been around longer than the communication committee has. So I don't know if that's, you tell us.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I guess I don't know what I don't know at this point, and I'm still learning as I go. You think you know a lot, and you realize you know like a small little piece of the whole puzzle. And you're about to solve the puzzle, and then you're missing a million pieces. That's how I feel right now. It's like drinking from a fire hose, and that's what their analogy I like to use. So it's tough, but we're getting through it. June 2nd, we're reorging, so I don't know who the liaison is yet to the communication department, but the committee, I should say. So I'm hoping that we can work that out between the board members and move forward with that. As for communication, I'm want to say old school. I'm from the military, so I'm used to emails and text messages. I'm a big social media person, if that makes sense. I don't do a lot of that. In the military, we are cut off from social media just with being downrange in Afghanistan and stuff like that. You can identify that way. So it's kind of like a weird thing for me. So I never really got into it. So any help on that aspect, I would love the help. AI, I don't know any of that stuff, so I heard you guys all using that. That'd be great to know some more about that and help me prepare for the future. I'm behind. Probably like in the same category as Lou over here, to be honest with you.
Fair enough.
I'm an open book, and besides that, like I'm very transparent to the point. I don't do a lot of fluff, so a lot of people, that's my military approach, I'm sorry, but I don't. It's kind of just what I am. I don't like to get in all the bull crap or dig deep into that stuff, so I like to just be honest with people.
Fair
What did you do in the military?
I was a flight medic, so I would transport dangerous soldiers from Afghanistan back to Germany, from Germany to the States, or from the States across anywhere back home.
Important job.
What branch?
Air Force.
Yes.
I did that for 12 years. I did finance in the Air Force. I did a bunch of stuff, managed a bunch of people. So that was my main job, if that makes sense. I guess in the Air Force, you're tasked with many different jobs, kind of like as a select board member. It's not just a select board member, you're tasked with a million different jobs. So that's what I found. So it's easy for me to jump right into it and take off.
Nice.
Questions for me? Comments?
I got a short list here, but if other people want to go.
Start.
Yeah, I wanted to know, I mean, like I said, you've been in town, government for a while. What are your thoughts on how the town is doing communication wise and being transparent with the residents and with each other and all of that? Like, what is your assessment on the way things are going right now?
Communication is probably the single most important thing we lack everywhere. Even when I was in the Air Force, it's not the greatest. Like communication always breaks down somewhere. We can always improve on it. It's never going to be perfect, I guess, if that makes sense. We're diving into it, but we're not getting the message out all the time, 100%. I think that's all of us as a community. It's like a telephone game. You tell one person one thing quietly, by the end it gets around the room, it's a whole different subject. So that's something we can hopefully get better at as a community in general. And trusting our communication people more. Like they're giving us the right message, we gotta believe that right message, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think we're doing an okay job?
I think so, yeah. I think we hit the ground running. You guys hit it running fast. So I'm happy about that. I have no complaints. I mean, anything's better than nothing we've had. So that's the goal here.
Yep. Do you have any improvements you can think of off the top of your head? I mean, we all have ideas on how to improve town communications here and there. Interested in if you have any ideas around that, or where you would like to see some of the focus on.
I don't have much. Again, I don't do social media. I know that's the biggest platform now, so that's kind of been the biggest thing we probably got to tackle is getting that message out on social media. I'm not sure. I know we have a communication director now, so that's helpful. But getting those messages out early. I mean, some of the stuff we're behind on times a little bit in Belchertown, and getting ourselves back into the 21st century would be great.
Absolutely.
We do a lot of paper, which is tough. I'd like to see that more electronic to get away from paper, save us some money. People can easily access things. Like the town website, that was a huge update for people. That was way behind. You can even find anything now, it's a lot better. I'm not sure if you guys did some of that stuff or.
Oh, yeah.
All of it.
Huge. So that's like a huge improvement. From when I first started in town, I couldn't find anything, and now it's a lot smoother.
Yeah, appreciate that.
That's, again, I like that stuff. Old school websites.
That was one of our big tasks over the last year that was the big lift we did, was overhauling the town website, because when we came on the communications committee, we realized it was pretty bad.
I mean, that was the reason I joined the committee.
Yeah.
That's because the website was so bad. I was like, we have to do something. Yeah, right. Yeah.
No, it's great. I think it's great. So
Thank you.
hopefully the residents can get out there and like see it. You guys are seeing that feedback also.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, put it this way, we haven't heard bad stuff, so I suppose that means we're doing a good job.
But I would say we're nascent. We're getting things off the ground, and we're trying to build a population that is actually aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
So we're still very much our beginning. We're not even, we're not, as I said, maybe we're at the end of the beginning, but we're certainly not in the middle.
I guess the only other feedback I would have is, being in the finance committee before on the select board, some of the meetings we're trying to get established and we don't know how to use the equipment. I guess that's the biggest thing. Trying to get to the other committees and educating them on how to use the OWL, especially we had that joint tri-board meeting over there. That was a horrible situation. And I heard a lot from the residents. I would improve that. So if that's something we can work on together, I would love to tackle that too.
Well, I mean, that's been a radical improvement too that we've gone through over the past year. I mean, it's still a long ways to go. But, Esther's done a tremendous amount in terms of standardizing how the rooms are set up, go to meetings room. This room, the camera used to be a webcam rubber banded to a tripod. So.
Well, that was what Go-To.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
BCTV had their own, yeah.
We've gone to this to try to help improve the coverage in the rooms. And Esther's done a hell of a job in terms of standardizing it, but we have a long ways to go still. And the tri-board meeting was a good example of that.
Positive, negative feedback is good, but it's great. Maybe, like I said, we can get the other community members, like showing them how to use it, like finance committee, for example. Lori could use some help. We're lucky. But it'd be great to have that feedback.
I'm gonna say, basically, it's just punch your committee now.
Yep.
And everything just kind of automatically comes up.
Yeah, except when it's a tri-board or a dual board, that's a whole other.
Yeah.
The committees will not be able to do those large ones on their own.
Learning curves.
Yeah.
But doesn't one committee act as the host for the other two, even though all three of them are meeting at the same time? Usually they just use like either the select board or the finance committee Go-To.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
setting up the room,
I'm sorry.
setting up the room,
Oh, okay.
like.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm logged into a couple, you can see it tonight too, like it says select board. It'd be nice if we could like see what committee, if I log on, this is the right committee, like, I thought it was a planning board, but it said select board, so it'd be nice if we could somehow, I don't know if we could identify.
Okay.
Like, this is the communication committee right now, not the
Yep.
select board, if that makes sense. I don't know if that's your realm or if it's just easier for residents to see that stuff, so you know you're in the right meeting at the right host.
Does it always come up select board?
Usually it should be saying select board room,
Uh,
so that it works for any meeting.
okay.
Just,
Yep.
easy feedback.
Yeah.
Not great.
I mean,
Maybe that's-
Just so you know who's responsible for what and things like that, like when Esther got hired in December, one of her things was go to meeting. She's responsible for getting go to meeting up and running and things like that. Kate is responsible for the website and social media. We chip in as needed to help back them up, if they need assistance, things like that. But
Emily's
Yeah.
doing it, what? You're doing?
For the rec department.
Instagram?
Instagram, yeah, and then I help with the rec department's Facebook.
And Allegra, who's not here tonight, does the Newtown newsletter. She's the one that put that together and running that. That's brand spanking new. They've only had one issue so far on that. So, there are people with specific assignments, and again, we pitch in as a committee to help back them up if there's gaps or they just can't get, like Kate, for example, is just part-time, but the demand for her services is full-time and beyond. So we're trying to help her out.
Appreciate that. I appreciate all of your, it's definitely bringing Belchertown to the 21st century. It's definitely, like Instagram, I don't have no Instagram yet, so.
We're still a town run by a lot of volunteers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the key. And that's what we gotta be thankful, the residents should be thankful for that, like, we're volunteers, all of us, even the select board is, even though we're elected, we're still volunteers.
And I think people lose sight of that.
Yeah.
They do.
Those are the questions I had, just big generalized ones.
No, I'm good.
Emily.
Anybody else?
I mean, we're really trying to do a heavy lift of, like you said, bringing them forward into 20th century, 21st century. And some of the stuff you touched upon, trying to get away from the paper and move to electronic versions of everything. Certainly have the paper for people that need it, but, it'll save money, it'll just make it easier to do. We were very successful last year in not only the website, but getting the position descriptions for Esther's position and Kate's position, both of which, well, more Kate's. We didn't think that'd be a reality at all. we didn't think that was gonna happen at all.
It was very quick.
And we just said, well, we'll have it ready if it does happen. And boom, all of a sudden there was money. So it was very fortunate that we had written the job description. Collectively, we wrote the job description on that. So that just worked out perfectly for us on that. And a number of us served on the search committees as well, the positions, when we were hiring them. But we're really working very aggressively and moving things forward. Mark has written the communications plan that we're going to be talking about tonight. Did a hell of a job in putting that together. It's a pretty comprehensive document on that. So there's a lot that we have going on that we feel is a very big benefit to the town. And kind of our tagline is we get stuff done.
Appreciate that.
Well,
What would you say are your key skills? What are you going to contribute to the select board?
Good question. Probably more my can-do attitude, like I don't give up. That's my military leadership style, like coming here, boots on the ground type thing, in the trenches. That's where I'm at. I like being in the group, in the field, and meeting the people and getting the job done. I feel like this is a committee that is right up my alley, if that makes sense. There are a lot of good things, and I was like, this fits me well. I'll probably have the liaison, but I don't know yet. But that's the kind of attitude I have, is I don't like to take no for an answer. Like, it used to be that way. It's always been this way. We can change, and people need to be willing to change, and that's what I can bring.
And by showing up at these meetings,
Yep.
you're hearing and learning, and that's good.
I have not assigned to any committee yet, so I've been going to every committee that's been open, and I try to go as soon as I see them, just to try to meet names and faces. So that's my, put a name to a face. I even went to, we had a rainy days. I went to town hall, introduced myself to everybody, all the different department heads, trying to get my name out there, face out there, so we can have an open dialogue. I don't want people to be shut down, if that makes sense. We have to have that open door policy to like really talk to people. I think we're forgetting that. For humans, we have a lot of computer, social media stuff, and people get behind that social media and they forget that we're humans, and that's what we have to be able to adapt to.
absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, hopefully that answers your question.
Sure.
Yeah. Any other questions or anything? We really appreciate you coming in. We know that you're, what our liaison right now is Lisa. She has done an excellent job in supporting us and making sure that we're involved in a lot of the bigger projects that are going on, and remembering that we're here and willing to help out with things. She's been our liaison for 2 years now.
Since she was elected, yeah.
Yeah. Stays out of her way, which is a good thing. Sometimes we probably need to be reined in a bit. But shows up to a meeting every once in a while and connects with me every once in a while. If things shuffle up and there's new liaisons for stuff, I think it'd be excellent if we had you as well, or really any member of the committee, or the select board. But yeah, we're open to working with whomever, and it doesn't even need to be our liaison. If any select board members have great ideas and they want to come to us and pitch ideas, show up to a meeting, hear what we're working on, we're an open book. We're open door as well, right? We always welcome people to come in, whether it's other committees, select board members, staff members, show up, talk to us. We, like Ed said, we get stuff done. We're working with the rec department right now with multiple different things, social media, their website, working with the library and stuff. And none of it was where somebody came along and told us what to do. A lot of it was just like, this needs to be done, so we're doing it. So yeah, keep in touch. That's what we're saying.
I'm not your liaison. Like I said, my door's always open. You have my email, you have my cell phone number, give me a call. I'm happy to assist any possible way. If I'm not your liaison, I'd still like to.
You're always welcome there.
Thank you.
You're more likely to catch you at the baseball fields than you
Or
are.
the baseball.
That's right, yeah. All right, well, you're welcome to stick around, listen to what we're doing. You're also welcome to leave, up to you. I don't know if we,
sticking around, so.
yeah, absolutely.
Because one of the things we're very sensitive to is time commitment of all you guys, Steve and you guys.
Exactly.
So we try to be very sensitive to that because we know that your life is nothing.
All right, cool. So let's move on to the next thing. This is number 5, the request from town manager, AI and Belchertown Government. So Ed and I were asked to attend a meeting by Steve Williams, and Kevin Hannon was there as well, so it was just the four of us. And we sort of went in, it originated from Kate asking for Otter AI and our committee asking for Otter AI memberships to help grab transcripts from different meetings in order to provide them to BCTV, in order to easily track the different chapters, I think they're called, where you can, or you can put in the different chapters of a YouTube video, and that way viewers can quickly skim through and find the Prop 2.5 in each meeting or whatever, and they don't have to watch the 5 minutes ahead of time or 10 minutes ahead of time or whatever else is going on. They can find what they want, move on. So long story short, that ended up being a back and forth through the town and IT and stuff. Steve eventually called the four of us into a meeting and basically said, AI needs to happen. We're falling behind because we're not using it. Other towns are already using it and finding ways of supporting their staff. Recognizing that our staff is limited and burnt out and ready to have whatever tools available to help them out. There's also a lot of confusion around what is okay to use, what isn't okay to use. Half the staff is already using some form of AI to assist with their day-to-day. Others are completely avoiding it because they think that there's legal issues and other things, and too many concerns around it and ambiguity, which is absolutely fair, So we were tasked with, bringing it back to the committee, obviously, and making sure that we're all on board with this, that we can help out with this. But I think, that we will come to a consensus that is probably a good idea. We've never said no to somebody from town, but that's possible. In that we're being asked to write these guidelines and help find them. And there are other organizations, there are other towns, the state groups and whatnot, everybody is sort of like tackling this all at the same time, but nobody has the right answer yet.
Yeah.
So we're being asked to sort of do the same thing. And if that means tagging along with one of these other organizations because they're so much further ahead and we can get quick answers.
There didn't seem to be a whole lot of written guidelines.
Like I said, everybody's making their own right now.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, there weren't guidelines for AI use in Lexington, Massachusetts. Things like that did not appear. A lot of notes and thoughts and ideas, what should be included in the guideline, did appear.
Well, a lot of them are not official yet. They're all being written, right? The MMA is writing them out and stuff like that.
So they're in process. Okay.
Yeah, Steve even mentioned that there's town council that is helping write stuff right now as well. There's a whole lot going on, but nobody has immediate answers. And also, along with finding these policies and these guidelines, we know that there is going to be a level of permission on this, right? We're going to be saying yes to some of it, or much of it actually. And that with that, anticipating that,
so
what can we do?
We're going to say yes based on the guidelines that we set up for security and for governance and for bias. Is that what you're saying?
Well, what do you mean by we're going to say yes?
Well, in other words, you were saying some of the AI apps will be approved by the town and some will not. And I'm going to say that's going to be based on the guidelines that we come up with, or what?
Some of it is going to be based on restrictions that I'll bring up in a minute.
Okay.
And others will be based on the guidelines that we have.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing to keep in mind is we're in the very beginning stages of all of this.
Very beginning.
I mean, yeah, we're just starting. We are just starting.
So there's, in my mind, and I'm going to open this for discussion and questions and stuff. And in my mind, there is two tasks that we really need to take on. The first one is going to be the immediate use of AI. A lot of the transcription services, like what Ed is using right now to record this meeting, is actually technically a version of AI, right? It's listening in, it's recording what we're saying, it's assuming what we're saying. Like, you get mistakes sometimes, like Esther's last name being Milwaukee on this. Sometimes it imagines things and puts stuff together. So that's something we have to consider, but that is an AI, right? That is a transcription AI service. The other one, more the chat GPTs, is the generative AI, where it is really making things things up. You're asking it questions, it's looking at whatever data source that it has, coming back with answers based on that. Sometimes it imagines things, makes stuff up. You have to go and double check, like absolutely double check. So there's these different levels of AI that we want to look into. So there's one group that I think looks into the sort of transcription services, the helping meetings and meeting minutes and things like that go faster by having these transcripts. And this can be a widely used. GoTo has transcript service, Zoom has transcript service, whatever. Looking at whatever services are the best there, and guidelines around what can be used for meeting minutes and what can't, stuff like that. The other one is going to be that longer form. The like, okay, what can the staff use? We're talking over the next year, the next 5 years of what are some of the tools and resources, and is the staff allowed to write an email using AI? Is the staff allowed to write a larger document using AI? What are the restrictions around that and sort of the guidelines? And also Steve has asked that for that longer service that we actually survey the town and find out what their needs are specifically and what their questions are with AI specifically, and being able to take care of that. This is going to be a big project. This is not a small.
I'm confused by survey the town on AI.
The town employees. I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So email the town employees and say like, okay, like, where have you seen AI used and where would you like to use it?
Okay.
What are some parts of your job that you've recognized that AI can take care of, and stuff like that. We'll figure out questions. Like, this is all open, and I'm just bringing the discussions to you guys.
Okay.
But sort of finding out like where are the pain points that we can easily take care of things, right?
Sorry, where the pain
points for the
Pain
town
points.
employees, right? Where is it like? Yeah, where are they having difficulty every single day? They have to do this system again and again and again.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot out there, and it's a growing field. It is expanding exponentially every single day. So the answer today might be wrong tomorrow.
Yeah.
But this is sort of the task that we're given and the way we want to move forward with things. So
This is going to take months, isn't it?
Oh,
easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for the longer one, it will be a rolling answers to and task by task moving forward on things.
Are we going to make Mark write the guidelines?
About to.
AI will do it. No, but I mean, one of the points Chris was just making, I had a meeting with the department head today, and I brought up that we're doing this, trying to look at how AI can integrate into town operations. And she was quiet because she wasn't sure how it could, mainly because it's something she hadn't thought about, its capabilities and all that sort of stuff on how it would work within her department. And, it's one of those, as much as I really don't like the expression, we don't know, that's why, as Chris was saying, we're going to look at what other places are doing, because we're not the first or only ones going down this road. So I would say we're on the bleeding edge, but, learn from others as well, as much as we can, so we don't reinvent the wheel.
Do you have an idea how you want to approach this problem, by identifying apps or by identifying guidelines, or?
Not entirely, no. I think that's going to have to come down to.
We're not even to that.
So where are we?
We are. Do we think we can handle this?
Thank you. Okay.
Because that's definitely step one of any committee is we've been asked to handle this, but
I would say we could handle guidelines. I would say the apps that people use they're gonna find because of the needs they have, and we shouldn't be. We can suggest apps or put a list of apps out there, but people are going to say things like at the police department, I want to use the traffic study AI app. Anybody in town who wants to do writing would say, I want to use Chat GPT, but do I need to put on it that this document was written partially with GPT? So those are the kind of things that I think we need to be thinking and talking about. Yeah.
Well, I think part of it too is, rather than identifying a solution up front, we, as Chris was saying, identify the pain points. What are the problems that could be solved and how to solve them? For example, a big one right now is the lack of minutes on the website. committees aren't posting minutes. Well, why is that? I mean, Chris and I talk about this, we say, well, if they used Otter AI and they could automatically generate it. Well, there could be other reasons that they're not, that we just don't know about. And is Otter AI the solution to those problems? I think, we have to drill down a little bit. Okay, why isn't XYZ committee doing it? They don't have somebody maybe taking the minutes. They're not submitting them in a timely manner for whatever reason. Part of it is a dive into identifying the problem. And then, okay, AI might be the solution to that or might not be. I mean, for example, there was a real flurry today of who was posting minutes? I mentioned it. I forget. One of the committees, all of a sudden, they had about a dozen committee minutes going up back to 2024. All of a sudden, it's like, okay, why did that happen all of a sudden? Which is good. That's what we want, because we want to be as transparent in government as we can. But why didn't they post them for all this time?
Was that the finance committee?
No, it was another one.
Yeah, finance has already been done.
Yeah.
But
That was about a month ago when they won it.
Yeah.
But-
Okay. All of a sudden, there's a flood of minutes going up there.
Yeah.
so are you suggesting that we find the pain points? Are you suggesting
No,
that?
we asked them. We asked them, not us.
Well, that's us finding the pain points as opposed to, does anybody know what the pain points are? Does Steve know what his pain points are?
Well, I gotta say, just as someone who would be referencing this document we're making, for AI, the single biggest hurdle is paying for it and figuring out how to do that within your department. Firstly, it's subscription services, and then these tech companies don't have good customer service a lot of the time. So doing it without tax is a problem. And then a lot of generative AI uses tokens. And then Microsoft Copilot is integrated with our Microsoft that we buy for the whole thing, or it's not right now.
Yes.
So, yeah, we're not the finance committee, but I would say that's the biggest.
A little bit of insight is the town either does or is about to get Copilot. Steve and Kevin were both saying that Copilot is built into the newest version of Microsoft that they've started to send around town and update everybody's computers with. So it is something that's already going to be available, and it's part of that, like, they need to get ahead of that before anything else, because it's going to be there and available on people's computers.
But is all AI subscription, some of it's free. It's not your full-blown pro, but it's available.
Yep, some of it is.
A lot of it isn't.
A lot of it isn't.
So that comes out with the suite.
Well, yeah, Copilot is along with purchasing.
Actually, I've heard that.
Yeah.
But to have it integrated with our Microsoft, it seems that because it's an add-on subscription.
Well, I know personally I have not used it, but I get it, I open up a Word document
Yeah.
and it's there.
So I get that much.
Yeah, and I haven't used it.
Parts of it are already available.
Okay.
In like it's part of the Microsoft Suite with Word and Excel and the others. It has a version of Copilot built into that.
But that's I don't know about the enterprise versions.
I mean, last I knew, in order to use Copilot within the full suite of Microsoft ads, it would be adding a massive amount onto what we already pay Microsoft, because it does mean upping the individual membership.
I mean, for enterprise, it might be different than what we're saying for individual.
And that is another thing that
Yes.
the enterprise-wise, Kevin said that really anything that the town has to purchase needs to be enterprise level. That they need to be able to. So enterprise accounts are accounts where you essentially have unlimited seats for users.
Okay.
Where it's not like, okay, here it is, and you can have 20 people with accounts. It's however many you need, and somebody like the IT department is in charge of adding and removing those accounts. And there's usually a per account cost to it, or in some cases, and again, it depends on the business model and the company. They will say like, oh, okay, you want enterprise, like normal accounts are $20 a person per month. Enterprise account is, we're just going to charge you, $5,000 a month, and that's, and I'm just saying numbers, right?
Yeah,
but like,
But they're probably fairly in the ballpark. Yeah.
Yeah. They're meant for large organizations where you have the 200 plus users.
Okay. So there is,
So,
I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
so obviously there is a cost, all right, because it'll be,
I
whatever.
mean, beyond Copilot, I'm realizing I was also going into, Microsoft has Azure and Automate, which are another one where I don't understand the pay structure.
Yeah.
More of the
Okay.
same thing.
Okay.
Yep.
So that'd be the first pain point.
Research is going to be an early thing too. Yeah, making sure we have answers to all these questions. Of course.
right, so just to add another fact. So ChatGPT changes regularly.
Mhm.
And I would say every few months they come out with a different version of it. I use ChatGPT Plus, which is much more powerful than ChatGPT. So we should think about which ones are we going to focus on. In addition to that, they have ChatGPT, I think it's Pro. But that is a subscription pay only, but it doesn't provide that much more than ChatGPT Plus, so I pay for that. But anyway, the point is, ChatGPT is committed to improving. They will change versions about every quarter. And so what we write today may not be applicable then. It's just something that we have to think about as we go forward.
Well, I think, with every technology, there's going to be updates. I think GPT is just more open about saying which version you can call upon when you're using it, whether you're using the 3.0, 3.1, 4.0. They have, if you click on the name at the top, you can actually pick from an entire list, and they'll say at this point that some of them are better for long form questions, some are better for images, some are better. Yeah. So there is a pick and choose of which version. But like an iPhone will update overnight every other week, so.
I think what's different is Microsoft Suite is now slow moving because it's mature. ChatGPT is very fast moving. At
Yes,
least that's what
yeah.
I've been using. So every few months, I'm looking at a different capability.
But one of the questions is ChatGPT going to be okay, right? Or is
Sure.
the preference that everybody should be using Copilot because that's built into the system,
Yeah.
and that's,
Yeah.
is the town going to align with that for now instead of other versions?
I would like to get into how we're going to tackle this problem. And I'm not sure how you seem to want to identify needs or places where people feel either uncomfortable or are looking for things and they don't know how to use them. Is that right now?
Yeah, so I've had, Ed and I have both had a little bit more time than everybody else, obviously, to think about this. We met 2 weeks ago on the subject. My initial idea was that, again, we have, we can't go at a pace where the entire committee has these discussions every single week, especially if we're moving to one meeting a month for summer. Way too slow. By the time we actually get around to certain things, the AI will be well beyond us, right? So we're gonna have to break up into groups. We're gonna have to meet that under quorum. 3 individuals can, 2 to 3 individuals go off, do some research, and every month when we have a meeting, come back with some ideas, some of the progress. I realize it is we're all volunteers and this is like homework, but it is something that the town has recognized that like they don't have experts on staff that can do this. Like we're the best thing that they have to come up with these answers. They have, I will say they have Kevin, and he's very knowledgeable. He's created this document, just basic.
The outer chat GPT document you sent out?
Yes, the one that I sent out to everybody. I have some copies here if anybody wants to glance through them while we're having these discussions. So there are individuals, but Kevin is flat out with all kinds of work that he's doing, and in all honesty, he's very security minded and thinks that we should almost do nothing because it's too risky.
Well,
Whereas
Otter seems to be a very risky program.
What makes you say that?
Well, reading that little sheet and the fact that it's much more public, it doesn't have the same security protocols as some other programs do.
But a lot of the things too, we had that discussion, we're in a public meeting anyways. So what we're doing right
Yeah,
now
it
is
was
public.
fine, but not for every application within the town, Belchertown.
Right, and that has to be a discussion as well, is you know, when do these need to be turned off, right? Is when do we start getting into like private information
Executive
and
session.
things can't, executive session, stuff like that, where like, okay, these discussions can't be recorded by GPT, they can't be input into GPT later on, or AI, or any sources, and that's gonna have to be part of what we recognize as well.
Is it pretty accurate when, or you don't know yet, because this is the first time using it?
I have found that Zoom is very accurate, but one of the problems with it is that it's helpful to have all the individuals logged in so that it like knows your names, right? Because
Yeah.
it's picking up each individual microphone and can transcript each microphone and then give everybody all together, right? This one, if you watch it, it'll actually like merge together like my conversation Lou's, like our back and forth sometimes, because it's not quite sure of who's saying what. So you don't always get.
However, later on, it will go through and separate that out.
It'll try to, yeah, as best as
It'll
it
try to
can.
break that
Yeah.
out, knowing that these are two different people talking.
So they all have a long way to go, and absolutely, I would not publish anything based off of like asking AI to look into this and do something with it. You know, I wouldn't publish anything without either a disclaimer saying that it hasn't been fully fact checked or reviewed, and I wouldn't publish it without actually reviewing it, making sure that there are corrections to, you know, all kinds of stuff.
I guess that would be my worry if it was like telling the other committees to use Otter AI for their minutes, because if they're the ones that aren't posting their minutes, they probably would be the same ones not reviewing the Otter AI transcript afterwards.
Right.
They'd probably just post
Wow.
it.
So, just another little question. So the minutes would be the complete AI transcript, or then you would run it through a chat GPT and have it?
So I'll tell you what I do. I take for the branding committee, I take the transcript that comes from Zoom. I throw that into a pre-trained version of GPT, which I've already said, like, I want you to use, you know, Mr. Martin or Miss Nadeau,
Okay.
and you know, or recognize Nate Shattuck as Chair Shattuck,
Okay.
stuff like that. So I've already set up certain parameters and rules for it, and I say this is the general layout that we'd like to use. You know, and I give it the agenda as well, and I say follow the agenda format, and here is the transcript. And you know, in any committee meeting, you're like, okay, on to next item. So like, it's able to follow that, like, okay, now we're on to the next item.
Oh, but every once in a while, the items merge.
They do, absolutely. And so you send it through there, and it does a pretty good job of pulling out everything and creating a set of minutes.
Now,
That said, I
using
go
chat
through-
for that.
Using chat for that.
Yeah.
I'll pull that into a Word document, and then I will read through it and make updates and changes. And
Yeah.
sometimes it leaves like certain important information out that I've written down
Okay.
that, like, okay, I need to make sure that this statement's in here and this is here.
Okay.
Because sometimes it'll glance over stuff. But you can also go back to GPT and say, listen, like this block here, this whole paragraph, you've just paraphrased everything. Like
Okay.
the half-hour conversation was made into a paragraph. Expand that out, and it'll look at it all again and say, oh, okay, here you go. Here's the expanded. So, but that's also a learning curve, and
Right.
is that stuff allowed?
And I'm going to ask you, this is still faster than doing it by hand, doing it by yourself.
100%.
So you would say, what, is this a half an hour job or 3 hour job?
The first few times I did it, I had to sit and re-listen to the 2-hour meeting for at least 3 hours, just going back and forth, writing stuff down,
Okay.
typing it all up, because I didn't bother taking notes.
Okay.
I was new to being a clerk, and just kind of wrote in stuff as we went along. And so, like I said, it was about 3 hours of me doing this.
Okay.
When I started using GPT, I cut it down to like 30 minutes. So I can personally say that this helped out a lot
Right.
for this role.
So you took a little time to train it, but once it was trained,
It does a
I
very
mean,
good
for
job.
example, right now, the drawback to Otter is not Otter, but just the fact the audio. It's a cell phone trying to listen to the whole room.
Mm.
So it's not getting everything, you know, as to Milwaukee. It did the best it
That's
could
gonna
out
be
of
the
that.
joke the rest of
But that's not because Otter wasn't good. It's because she's way over there, you know. So
it's
like-
the microphone's
it's a
problem.
In
physical.
this case.
Yeah, but my phone isn't.
Oh, your phone's doing it.
My
Yeah,
phone is
yeah.
doing it. So you know, it's a physical equipment problem right
Mm.
now, not an AI problem.
Okay, yeah.
So.
All right, so back to trying to struggle how to tackle the problem.
So again, I think that, and I do want to eventually move on from this issue because we have a lot of other stuff.
Sure.
I think it's going to be splitting up into groups, right?
Okay.
There's going to be one group that is going to be, let's tackle, and I think it's going to be the transcription service, some of the basic stuff, you know, whether go-to transcripts, Zoom transcripts, RAI transcripts, whatever we want to go with that stuff.
Okay.
We tackle those first basic items. If there are other low-hanging fruit that group can consider, like, you know, can a quick email response be done through, you know, like Gmail, it says like, do you want us to write this email for you? You know, do you? Is that allowed? You know, does the town have a service like that? Like, is Copilot popping up, or is, I don't know what, I don't know exactly what they use, if it's Outlook or something else, or their own internal email service.
Okay.
But, you know, do they have something in there already, and are people using it? Are people afraid of using it? Like, that could be another low hanging fruit, that it's like, yes, it's okay, but you really shouldn't do it for this, this, and this.
Or identify that you've used it. I don't
Right,
know.
or identify that you've used it. Maybe that goes in the disclaimer that I've used AI to write some of this email, right? Yeah, so like low hanging fruit stuff, that needs to be one group, and I'm hoping that that group can come back with some solutions anywhere between 3 and 6 months, right? And I realize that's, and maybe it's rolling out solutions, right? That like, okay, we've already tackled like the email problem with that disclaimer, you know, by the end of the second month or whatever, and presented that to people, and you know, okay, great, now move on to the next thing. That's my proposal for the first group. The second group is going to be that longer, what do we do around AI as a whole, and doing the research and surveying the town and doing like the real heavy lifting, but given like, okay, you have to like next year to come up with solutions, you know, because some of these things might end up being cost items that are going to have to go to the town to come up with expenses, right, and be funded. So it's not stuff that's going to be,
Well, as long as it's not a Prop 2.5 override, that's.
well, that's not up to us either, you know?
Yeah.
I've done a lot of talking. Let's hear questions and stuff and concerns, and at the very end,
Feel free.
you know, at the very end at the end of this discussion, I want to, whether we have a vote or not, or just nods from everybody in the room around, do we think we can take this on as a committee?
Given time and splitting us up, the answer is yes. Will we come up to with a definitive answer? I don't know, but we'll at least lay the groundwork for something down the road.
And then the other thing that Chris and I actually just talked about today is advertising for additional committee members, associate or regular, with AI expertise and knowledge.
We have one
So-
open chair.
So we can bring in,
We have an open chair and any associate members we need,
Okay.
so.
yeah, so deliberately bringing in people in town that have this expertise. Also, my neighbor is head of IT for UMass, has indicated that he would be interested in helping out
You mean advising or?
in an advisory kind of thing,
Okay.
yeah. But he's got a lot of resources at his fingertips, so I might hold him to that, you know, twist his arm. Because I think that'd be a great resource if we could get that.
Does he
bring it
want to
that
be on the
level.
committee?
Right.
Does he want to be on the committee?
No, I know he wouldn't want to. He's got so much on his plate right now, the last thing he wants is.
Yeah.
But he said, no, he'd be interested in helping out. So, and by him helping out, he means his people helping us.
Yeah.
Wow. So you, obviously this will be on the agenda for next meeting, and would you like us to come up with where we would like to participate?
Before going there, I'd like to see this written out on paper or sent virtually. I'd like to see it written out. I'd like to see the projects that you have in mind. I'd like to see the deliverables. I'd like to see the timelines.
And that's an excellent point. I want to use your full tactical plan for any of this. What we have in the communication plan, this is 100% one of those projects where we need to write out all of these things.
That would fit in there well.
Absolutely. And I do think that should happen, but I think that like, Well, and I guess we put this to vote, but I'd love to be able to say, do we move forward with this, right? And moving forward with this, that means starting those tactical plans. That means putting that work in outside of these meetings. But I have to return to Steve and say that yes, the committee is on board with this. We need to go forward.
Is he good with a year and a half timeline?
Doesn't come up.
Yeah, I mean, he knows it's not a quick answer, right?
Okay.
That was sort of the discussion is that, this is not going to be tomorrow and we're working at the pace of the committee,
So a 3-year timeline, okay.
I mean, otherwise it's not going to get done.
Yeah.
If we don't do it, it is not going to get done. And Steve said, he was pretty damn emphatic.
Well,
We're gonna do this.
people will start using AI on their own computers
Exactly.
without any kind of guidelines or supervision on that.
Sure.
Yeah,
They are now. They are now.
okay.
But he was pretty emphatic that, we want to get there, we want to get it under control. He's asked us to do it because he knows if we don't do it, it just won't get done.
Okay.
So,
To me, the guidelines could be written actually quicker than some of these other things. There's a lot of, and by that I mean there's a lot of information on what should be included in the guideline out there that just needs to be fleshed out.
I mean, I think a simple set of guidelines that are like the do's and don'ts to get that out to staff and let them know what's allowed and what's not, just on a limited basis, is probably a great idea. And then we work on the full policy going forward from that. Right.
and I would say those be very simple, with the idea it's an evolving document. We start with.
The simplest stuff, and I hear that, yeah.
This brings to mind, so the social media policy, right?
Right, what
It's
did
a
we
living
miss?
document, it changes every month, right?
Yep.
We really should think about this a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
And I agree with you too, but I don't want to overthink it. I don't want to move with the pace of government, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's fair.
And there are some basic rules that we already know of, right? That in government, you shouldn't be sharing personal information, medical information, things like that. So
Yeah, it's already in this.
yeah, and right, it's already there. And for the record, I believe Kevin used GPT to create this, by the
Of course
way.
he did.
So,
Now keep in mind too, to be very honest with you,
well, let me finish my thought. There are some already reminders. This is government. There are certain things that are not allowed to share, and that you should never put these into GPT, even if it's just crafting an email, right? That those things should never be put in there. However, public information, things that are said in these open meetings, you shouldn't actually be afraid of taking your transcript or making a transcript of a meeting and putting it into a GPT thing to make minutes, right? It's all public information. It is available. So by putting that into another system, you're not actually putting us in danger in any manner, right? I mean, there's things to consider, obviously, security risks and stuff, but there's already a lot of other towns that are doing it, and a lot of organizations that aren't even saying yes or no. This is how to do it. So I think just letting certain people know that it's okay, right? Take a look at it. Start getting to know it. Don't see it as something that's terrible and shun it, right? Because it's coming.
I mean, something to keep in mind on this document from Kevin is, quite honestly, he came into this meeting not very supportive of AI. His view was not really something we should really be jumping on. And Steve said, no, we are. We are.
Yeah,
doing
I
it.
mean, Kevin's issue is security of his
It is.
system.
And that's good to be tempered.
Yeah.
In what we're doing, because
Yeah.
otherwise Chris and I would be going wild and crazy and doing everything with AI. So it's a good view to have, but also, keep that in mind when you're reading through that document. There are legitimate concerns, but AI is here. It's here. It's not coming. It's here.
I hear a lot at work that AI it's the new and it's where the world and technology is evolving to, and you need to get on board with it or you're just going to keep falling behind. And eventually you're going to have to get on board with it anyways.
I'd be the last big buggy whip maker.
Yeah.
They're using it in hospitals now and in the federal government, so we're already behind.
Yeah, we're already
And I
behind.
see it as a positive thing, especially for community, like the committees, like even finance committee, like trying to do the clerk and take all these notes. This will help be more transparent for the whole residents. So I think that's a good approach, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Good plan.
Yeah.
I mean, look at it, how can we make our jobs better, faster, easier? You know, given that we are volunteers, what can we do to make life better, you know?
But also, where are the guardrails?
Yeah.
Where do we make sure that we're not leaning on it so much that it is doing everything and we're doing nothing and stuff is being put out there that shouldn't?
Shall we move on?
Well, should we vote? Do we have a vote, or we just move, or we all nod and say, yes, this is a thing?
I thought we had consensus, yeah.
I think it is rather consensus. Is anybody objecting to it? All right, with a full quorum at least, or not everybody's here, but most of the committee's here. Sounds like we're good.
Chris, next steps?
Next steps. Let's start talking about. Well, let's everybody do a little more research, right? We know where we're going to be getting into this. We know that we need to come up with a game plan. There's the two different directions that we're going to go in. We want to split up into groups to start tackling this. Everybody start thinking about if you want to be in one of these groups. If this is way above your head and you can't handle any of this stuff or don't want to get too involved in it.
Don't look at me.
That's fair as well. I'm looking back and forth, right? But also, maybe you don't know enough about AI, but everybody can help write up a document, right? And everybody can help in certain little ways as well. So I think it's a matter of let's go back, let's get some ideas, let's do some research. Everybody should try to decide whether you want to be in the generative AI full years long thing, or if you want to help out with the now getting that stuff done. I think that's going to be the most helpful thing. And then at our next meeting, we're going to try to divvy up the workload and start thinking about. I think the other thing too is I'm going to think about what my expectations are for any sort of reports and things like that. But I think we all have to come to a consensus on how we want to do that. I definitely think the communication plan is a solid plan forward for all that we know how we're supposed to be writing these documents and stuff. So I will take some of Steve's ideas too and make sure that those are like baseline in that document format.
Okay,
So
great.
How about to get the ball rolling? What if I wrote 2 documents and put them in the Google Drive? One, for lack of a better word, we'll call it one long-term, short-term.
yes.
And then we can all start contributing to it. Right?
We can't all contribute to it because that is breaking open meeting rules.
Okay,
If there's discussion, if it's determined as discussion, yeah.
Correct.
okay, you want to hear something that's going to really kick this too? Even subgroups that have to be open meeting. That came up in the MMA the other day.
I know, and it's one of those things that doesn't constantly happen.
Okay. Well,
I recognize that.
Nobody
has called these a subgroup yet.
We'll post for McCarthy's and,
Okay, well, would it work this way? No, probably not. I was going to say everybody could just send me their thoughts. Well, yeah,
We could do that. Everybody can send you thoughts.
just send me. I'll come up with a document that has an outline of what we're looking for, long-term, short-term. You and I can work on that. And then I'll make it available to everybody and you can send me, don't put it in the document, send them to me.
And then you put them in.
And then I can coalesce everything and I can, at the next meeting,
Sure.
present it like that. Would that work?
We could start the project management and then divvy that out. Yeah. I like that. That way we have solid documents to start with.
this is kind of out of order, but you anticipate another meeting this month or into July before this happens? This is a thought.
June. June would be our next meeting.
Okay.
If we all decide to go with once a month, which I think is what we're doing. But yeah.
Okay. Oh, it's not June. My mind's in June, sorry.
Fair enough. Yeah. I'm insurance. I get it. Okay. All right. Are we ready to move on? Anybody else with any questions, concerns? All right. Communication plan. I sort of forget where we left off with that. I sent it to a bunch of people. Kevin hasn't gotten back to me yet. Steve has gotten back to me. He's on board with it. It's very short, concise response from him was that it's good. He trusts us and how we do our process, and that's about it. So unfortunately, we haven't had a lot of feedback, plus or minus. Part of my questions to everybody that I've sent it to is this too technical or over your head to understand? And nobody's come back and said no. Or yes, rather, yeah. So good sign so far. That everybody's being really nice. Sure. Well, that's the next step is do we want to send it to all the select board members and get their nod on it? Which I think is maybe a good idea.
Yeah, I was gonna say you sent to Lisa and
Jen.
And who?
Jen. Yeah.
Okay, then obviously, yeah. Now that the election is over and done with.
Now we know who's there.
Now we know who's here.
Yeah. Jen was the original liaison on the communication committee when we got together. So we still, every once in a while, we're like, hey, can you double check this as well as Lisa and just to have select board members review things. But yeah, I think the next step is to send it to all of them. So.
Do you want to wait till I come back with, and I almost had it for this meeting, not quite. Do you want to wait until I come back with what a tactical plan would look like? Because as you remember,
it's up to the committee.
Lisa was suggesting the tactical plan, but she didn't know.
Yeah.
So.
I'd say no, knowing that this is a dynamic document that will constantly be growing. So I think it was while we get comments on where it stands now. And, you could put a section in there, tactical plan coming, pending, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that's ready, look at that part of it. But everything else is pretty stable now.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be good to get comments on it. That's my feeling.
Yeah. I also think it's better to just get it in front of people at this point and then get it adopted.
Okay, I just didn't want the other board members to think as Lisa did, this is it, right? Because it's really the tactical plan that matters.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Which, that's what we're going to do with the AI stuff and projects going forward. So I think that it'll be a good time to great. You have a look at that, and then we say, once we have those tactical plans ready, then we're like, okay, well, this is the first one, right? AI, and this is what we're going to be tackling. So, okay.
Allegra said she'd be here 8-ish. Could we hold off on town newsletter and
we can skip
come back to it?
Okay. Branding updates. Hey, we have a town logo.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, approved by the select board. I don't have an example of it up. It's been on Facebook. It's took us a while to get there. A lot of last minute arguments. Actually, I'll say that it's almost last minute, 11th hour arguments, and a lot of just back and forth yelling, and then like final decisions. And then we came back together for another meeting after that, after like we'd all kind of blown up at each other, and suddenly everybody just came together, and it was like, what if we just did this? Oh yeah, that would do that. And like it was just like a moment of bliss, and we all just came together on the final logo, and we're like, all right, let's present it. And
you defined it at the last minute.
Really did. We had 301 responses to the vote for it, which is, I know, we're a town of
12,000.
12, no, it's 15.
15,000.
Oh, I'm sorry, voters.
Yes.
I was only
But 12,200 are voters, yes.
Yeah, the rest of them don't count.
So, I think, under a percent or whatever of people voted, but technically this is one of the best votes that we've ever had, or best responses to anything that I've seen in the last, 4 years of government, including last year's town meeting with like 178 people attending. So like, We beat those numbers. So actually one of the biggest responses, so it's, the town is on board.
Yeah.
And it was a 80-20 overwhelming response that they like the design. We like the design. It's been adopted. We've been given the go ahead to, okay, yep, Ed has it.
Okay, you can't see it well, but it's been modified already.
The meme version. Yeah.
Somebody's put a trailer in there on the water.
Oh,
Sorry, you can't see it real well.
Yeah. I explained at the branding meeting, because this came up in that too, that the social media on Facebook, there was a while when like a trailer just showed up on Bay Road, like out of nowhere, like somebody abandoned a trailer and it was there for a while, right?
Okay.
And like nobody knew where it came from or who was going to get rid of it. And so
obviously
like,
in the quadrant.
yeah, it became a Facebook thing that like people would put like the Breaking Bad characters in front of it and like all kinds of other stuff there. And
Meme, huh?
it became a meme for town Facebook groups for a while. And then, it disappeared. And then like the next, like 2 days later, there was those plastic outdoor chairs that were set up in the same spot.
Oh,
And then those chairs started appearing like throughout town in different locations. So then it was like, okay, these plastic chairs. So somebody already, day 2 of having the logo up went and added the plastic chair and the trailer to the logo as well. So
nice.
We took that as, hey, it's being adopted, right? If it's already become one of the memes in town, great. Yeah, so going ahead, we are putting together brand guidelines. So guidelines for how to use it. We're finding ways to get it out to the town. The town doesn't have an intranet or filing system that they all use. So there isn't like we could put a centralized like resource of here's the SVG and the JPEG version and use this for this format and use that for that format. That resource is not available. So we have to come up with somehow or somebody to be that owner of the document or owner of the files to then get out to everybody.
So if you were an authorized user, could you put it on the web page and they could just click on it there and then put in a little code?
That's sort of what we're coming to is it's just going to be like every town employee has the access to the town website. There is a sort of like town employee only section of the website. So I'm going to build out a page that is what are you using it for? If it's this, download this. If it's this, download this, and it'll just live there.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. With the guidelines and everything built into a page. The other idea is that we're going to make a mini logo version of it that'll be like a circle.
Oh, that
I think.
one. Okay.
We've seen it in some of the documents that we've shared.
She was still working on that one, if I remember.
They're still working on that, and they're still working on the digitizing of the town seal.
True.
That one has been a work in progress for a while, and the town meeting is taking up a lot of the time of the town clerk who is helping us out with that one. So we've been waiting, long periods of time to get responses back about
Now
stuff.
she has a recount, so it's going to be even longer.
It's going to be even longer. So, and the last thing is all of this wraps up June 30th. So we are pressed to get results.
Chris, I had a question about the town seal.
Yes.
I thought you said last time, and maybe I misheard you, that you couldn't change anything in the original seal. And of course, the perspectives are all screwed up on this,
Yes.
right? So.
And this isn't it, by the way. This is a mock-up. Yes. Yeah. We've gone over that.
But I guess my question is, can those kinds of things be fixed? What I would consider errors. Who says they can't be fixed?
If there are any minute changes to the styling of it, it does have to be approved by a wider audience. If it is, it would town meeting. And, but if it is a 1-to-1, this is what we've been told by the town clerk. If it is a 1-to-1 and there are no major changes to it, then the town clerk is allowed to adopt it immediately without, and it's just her decision, right?
What major change defined?
Major change was, yes, like items like perspective of the church and of other buildings, of whether or not the stone house shows the
Stones.
sort of stone details or not. What we've determined is it needs to, right? basically any other like tiny design elements need to actually stay. There's a chance. I haven't seen the digital version or the digitized version of where it stands now. We haven't seen it for I think like maybe a month and a half. There's a chance it won't look great, but that it will be the standard that we need to go by until we've made a decision to change that. But we're trying to solve that problem of we don't have a good digital version. It's all being, multiple different versions of it that are being stretched and skewed and edited and used throughout. So
Put on town meeting minutes.
yeah, step one, these aren't even the real ones. So
I know.
Step one is just getting that digital version and going from there.
Okay, so there is a chance that we could change it, but it would have to go through town meeting.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
And it would have to be a process.
Got it.
Yeah. But once we have the approved digitized version, then we can talk about
Yes.
making those changes. That's all I have for branding. Any other questions or comments? Happy to answer them.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good job.
Yeah, again, it took a long time getting there.
Long road. Yep.
Maud and I realized that we've been working on it for a year. So while the committee's only been around since late November, she and I have been back and forth on the discussion since at least June.
And unfortunately, the committee didn't get off to a great start, so it was a lot of time.
A lot of time wasted.
It was not as productive. Yeah.
Right. Okay, let's jump into wayfinding updates because it kind of back to back with.
Okay. The answer is there will be a Zoom meeting on June 4th at 4 p.m. To meet with STEM Tech, and they're going to present their designs.
Excellent. I have heard that they are very, very well done, and we should be very excited about it.
You have more information than I.
That's all I have. They wouldn't give us more.
Okay.
Okay, excellent. Hey, welcome to the meeting.
Hi, I'm Allegra.
Jon Ritter.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Do you need a minute to settle in? Do you want to talk town newsletter?
Oh, you guys didn't do it already?
Skip.
Yeah, we
Okay,
just skipped it. Yeah.
I'm good, but Emily can also leave it too, so I don't know, Emily, if you want to leave.
I'll let you.
Lou asked that we wait just a moment to make sure that we got the
Yeah,
full story.
I just pulled my notes up. I'm okay with audio. I'll talk loud. It's far away. I think it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we'll try to do it quick. So we're getting the next issue ready, the June issue. But before I get to that, let me leave it for the end. So go in order. So we have, as of today, we have 251 subscribers. New subscribers have been trickling in, mostly people finding out about it through the town website. We have not yet seen the announcement go out on the Sentinel. I know Kate got confirmation from Emily at the Sentinel that it would go out, but I haven't seen it yet. So I'll follow up with Kate to follow up with the Sentinel.
I didn't see anything this week.
Yeah, and basically we think when it goes in the Sentinel, we'll get a bunch more subscribers.
Right.
That'll be a big way to get more people.
We've already doubled what we had last time, so that's awesome.
Yeah, this first month or 6 weeks has been very good at getting people. All right, so that's about subscribers. Small thing on PDF accessibility. We had an email with Chris and Kate about this, but we've made the version that gets posted online PDF accessible. For the record, if you generate it from within Constant Contact, it is not very accessible to PDF. But if you just create a PDF from the browser view of the newsletter, it creates a pretty compatible PDF. So the PDFs will get posted for the previous month along with a link to the web version so people can access them either way.
Just so you know this, John, do you know what she means by accessible? It's handicap accessible,
Yeah.
people with disabilities. That's one of the big things we're always pushing is to get the content on the website accessible, and a lot of it is not. So we're working on trying to, and that's what she's
Yeah,
talking
basically
about.
like so a screen reader could read the text to you and it's not like embedded in an image or anything like that. Small thing from the previous issue, we had that Memorial Day correction. We got it confirmed, we sent it out, so everybody had the correct date. I think everybody knew when Memorial Day was and could figure it out, but we did get that correction out. The Belchertown.org email address is still an issue. The last we had was an exchange with you, Chris, about, you had checked in with Kevin. Kevin thought the problem was fixed, but we tested it with Kate's Belchertown email, and belchertown.org email addresses can still not receive constant contact emails. So for the June issue, it'll go out automatically to everybody on the list, but we anticipate there will be about 40 or 50 bounces from people who have subscribed because they're town employees and they have belchertown.org email addresses.
Mhm.
So we will just send an email out to send them the PDF and the web page version and hope that for the next month, maybe they can receive the constant contact, but I guess we'll have to follow up with Kevin a little more
Yeah.
about how to fix that. So that's something we're still working on. And then the June issue, we launched when we originally launched, we had a Google form to get, for town departments and committees that want to submit updates. We changed that to a Civic Plus form, so everything goes through the town website. And it's working great, which is wonderful. It's a very clean way of getting submissions. So most submissions came in through that way. And we have about 16 or 17 pieces for this newsletter. And they're all drafted and they're moving into constant contact tomorrow or the next day. So we're gonna get that done before the 1st. Steve, just let you know, we've been kicking off, this is only our second one, but we've been kicking it off with the town manager's welcome. Steve, through Kate, did manage to have a welcome for this month. And it's written in such a way that we know that the town meeting will have just happened the day before. And I told Kate and Steve that if they want to send something through on the 31st with like a 2-sentence update from what happens on Saturday, we could change that before it goes out on the 1st, but it's not necessary.
Okay, given the 1st is a Sunday, are you sending it out on Sunday?
We were thinking of doing it on the 1st in part because Belchertown Pride is that day, and one of the announcements is about Pride, the Pride event happening. So we figured we would. I don't think that much is gonna change between Sunday morning and Monday morning. So we figured, but maybe for a future discussion, I was wondering if maybe we should, I kind of like doing the monthly thing, so you know everything pertains to this month. But if we wanted to think about like departments reporting, like the fire log, they do a monthly reporting, so maybe if we waited until the 5th, we'd get like a full last month's report or something. So that could be something we consider in the future. And just the last thing is, I did start working on developing newsletter policies, researching other towns that have newsletters and have clear policies set up, but I have not yet shared my research with Emily, who's gonna look at it first, and then we will bring it here. So that's not ready yet, but it's something we're still working on. And Kate's also interested in the policies for other town communications to guide that, so.
Laura, so Kate just got me stuff on the farmer's market and asked me to write an article. But that just happened. So are you sending this out on the 1st?
So the farmer's market, they submitted something, Sue Shaw from the farmer's market.
Oh, that's confusing.
I think Kate wants her stuff on the website itself, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
It wasn't clear to me.
yeah, your content's for the website.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah. And the farmer's market, they know about it, so they've been submitting every month, and yeah, they're starting up this month, so
Okay.
they advertise that. Emily, did I miss anything?
She's the expert. I just, yep, that looks good.
That's it, yeah.
All right, excellent. Any questions, comments?
Good job.
Have we had a lot of submissions for this? I forget if you said it.
We had
16?
17 for this one. Yeah.
We had 12 last time?
No, we had about, it was about 15 to 20 last month.
Okay, so we're right up there.
Yep.
Yeah, awesome. That is really great to hear that.
Yeah, and Steve's been, we sent a reminder out through, to the department heads through Steve. And yeah, he's really encouraging departments to submit every once in a while some updates from the department. So this month, we have like a big, long update from DPW about all the stuff that their different units are doing this summer. And some others that we didn't have last month. So it seems like people are making good use of it.
Excellent.
Good.
Really cool. All right, and thank you for looking into the accessibility stuff of that. those things. It's easy to forget, but really important as well. Okay. BCTV manager update.
Okay. Getting ready for town meetings, the highlight of the last month or two. We've been working closely with Kevin to take care of the needs of our live broadcast, but also the projection of the vote counts, how we're doing that in the auditorium, and making sure that the auditorium system is gonna work the way we need it to. That's almost done. Tomorrow is the day when we set everything up. This Saturday will be our first BCTV team cruise shoot that I've been here for. Excited about that.
Wasn't the tri finance committee meeting? You had 3 or 4 people there.
Yeah, we did have a number. We have almost.
Yeah. Anyway, that was, yeah, never mind.
Peggy and Lou put out the Warrant article videos recently. Those are getting a lot of views. I think Charlotte has made some social media short form of those also.
She has.
Yeah. We have a all about town meeting video that we're proud of. It's self-explanatory. Exciting, I have a local organization reached out to me, the Easter Seals organization. They have a program for local teenagers to do internships out in the community. They look at different businesses and town departments, and it's funded by the state. They're one of the vendors, and it makes it so it's a paid internship. They get paid by that organization. So we have our first intern coming in at the end of the month, hopefully. And we'll see how that goes, and we may get more to follow.
What was the name of that group?
Easter Seals.
Easter Seals.
Yep.
Okay.
I know our first intern is from Belchertown High School too, so.
Awesome.
Excellent.
BCTV is also covering the Pride Parade and will be covering the opening of the farmers market.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Weekends, yeah. Peggy and Lou are getting to a lot of things about town, making really good content.
Thank you.
Yeah. And further down, a lot of what I've been doing also is we're going to help with AV equipment for Food Truck Fridays this summer for the music. So we've been coordinating with them to make sure we're all set to go. That's it for this week.
Is the town meeting going to be simulcast on YouTube, live streamed on YouTube
Yes.
as well?
Yep.
Am I wrong? I think you guys put out like a podcast or something recently.
Oh, I did. Oh, and I wanted to add the Peggy Lou's content to that too, but yeah, we put out a select board podcast where I'm just taking the audio from the meetings, putting it through an Adobe program that makes it a lot crisper, and putting that out. That's on all the podcast apps now, and we also have a podcast just to put out BCTV stuff. We have put out the first one based on Ed's article about warrant articles. It's in there. Yeah.
She has
Very
lots of
busy.
stuff and is overwhelmed thinking about it.
A little bit. I'm excited for town meeting to have been a great success.
Yes. And to be in the rearview mirror and have it all done.
How do you do the audio if it's based on an article? Does somebody read it, or do you have?
Yeah, we came in and we did an interview.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. Cool.
I think it's important to know what time you're getting to town meeting.
Karen, I'm getting to
Friday at 1 o'clock.
Friday at 8:30.
Okay.
Because we're starting tomorrow. Our crew, once we're set up, will be coming in at 7.
Thank you for that. I think it's important for the residents to know how much time goes into town meeting you're planning for. So thank you.
Yeah. Yep, 7, but Friday we're starting early, ending late. Hopefully everything will be set.
If you're talking how much time went into it, that's just the setup of the day of. Like you guys have been in conversations for months
We have.
on how to do this. Yeah.
And it was a moving target too, because it kept changing.
Know which venue.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because also what we're doing is there's an overflow room in the cafeteria, which adds a pretty big factor of needing to get the audio across the building in real time so people can vote. But that'll be set with TVs, people can vote in there.
It's gonna be a great idea for an article that we do up that, like interviewing all the different departments and like, what did it take? Right? It'd be wild,
Yeah,
it'd be wild to get like the man hours of how much did it take to like all the hour-long, 2-hour-long meetings of scheduling and rescheduling and yeah, like we swapped the venue. How many times did we swap venues and everything else? And
IT, DPW.
yeah, all of them, and then find out like how many hours does it take just to set up a town meeting, right?
And that actually is one of the things that I've been talking about doing is interviewing Terry. What does it take to do it? And also what it takes to run an election as well. Because I think a lot of people don't appreciate everything that goes into running it. I know I don't. I show up, make my little circle and leave, but there's a lot more behind the scenes to putting like stuff that together. Another thing I'd like to do too along the road is talk to each of the select board members about why are you doing what you did? What inspired you to, and the idea is to inspire others to do public service.
That's great.
Why did you raise your hand? And what do you get out of it? I know there was this video that you guys did several years ago with some of the select board members that you posted and then we had to have pulled down because of
How to run for office?
Right.
Yeah.
that I thought was excellent. It was right along that line, This is why I did it, because kudos to you guys for raising your hands, because I sure as hell wouldn't do it.
It's easy, anyone can do it.
No way.
Ooh, we're getting close, all right.
Okay. Yep. Any other questions, comments, anything else for BCTV?
I did reach
That's what I thought. Yeah.
90 minutes, so
Yep.
I have to go up to the next level
Yep.
to get more.
Just to get the rest of us. Yeah. Okay. We'll try to move things along. I want to get done before 9:30 or 9 o'clock if we can. Luckily, I have Kate's notes and we don't have to listen to her go on for half an hour. I just remember that one meeting where it was like, man, Kate, anything else you're doing? Like, no, she's been incredibly busy. We've been, Ed and I, keep up with her and whatnot, and it's just right along with the town meeting stuff, just swamped. I'll read off what she's got going on. So this goes back to I should have read this during the training stuff. She attended the MMA's open forum on public records and open meeting laws. So that goes in that bin. Conducted an intro to ChatGPT with AI with Steve, Joanne, Melissa, and Pam. So as we already see, people in town are already moving forward with things about it and introductions and how to use it. Worked on and completed the 2024 town annual report. They got it done like yesterday or day before.
It's online now.
Yep. Wrote several articles for the website independently and with other departments. Topics ranged from HERO Act to Ed Bosch's retirement. Sent out press releases for the new logo to print, radio, and TV. Actually, didn't even see it in the Sentinel today. I grabbed a copy just to check it. Press release for new logo to print, radio, and TV. I'll send you a copy of this if you take the notes. Or Allegra as well. Forwarded sample letters to REC for fundraising / sponsorship. For social media, the post regarding the new town logo has become the most popular post of the last 28 days with approximately 7,500 views and reaching nearly 5,000 individuals. That's huge. Considering this was posted on Tuesday this week, this is huge. Yep. In comparison, the other posts from the last 7 days, the runner-up has 1,200 views. Posted as a reminder about town meeting this weekend. So more people were interested in the logo than the town meeting, which good and bad.
Um,
Well, no, they already knew about town meetings. So
this
they
is,
have
this
to
is
click
fair,
on it.
yeah. Looking forward, staff training on website and PDF files with Ed and Chris. We've finally started putting a date together for that. We at least have it down to a week. Staff training on new branding guidelines with Molly, BC, Lisa, BC, Danielle, Art Equity, and Katie Locality.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the branding group.
Right.
Reviewing.
Do you have another meeting scheduled?
We do, the 11th.
Thank you, of June.
Yes.
Okay.
Reviewing branding with Steve and discussing department level logos. So yeah, that is an idea that I forgot. In the branding discussion is, Amesbury was able to color change their logo and be like, okay, red is fire department, blue is police department. And that way you always knew that, like, if you saw the logo in that color, that's sort of a match to a specific department. We have an idea of doing something similar with ours, but it's also like theirs was minimalist and kind of easy to change the colors. Ours is more flowing art, so they're trying to figure out what that would mean and how that would actually happen. We're thinking maybe that small logo just changes colors. Next meeting, please include the discussion point of writing articles for departments and committees. I'm not sure what that means, but I will put that in the next meeting and reach out with her. Yeah, so that's everything we have. Whoever is doing the clerk stuff for this meeting, you can actually have that copy. I'd ask for questions, but I can't answer any. So next item, I want to go over this pretty briefly, discuss committee roles. As I've mentioned in the last few meetings, by the end of June, just like the select board rotates who's doing what, we have the option of also rotating who does what. I like to have this discussion around June every year just to see, I've been the committee chair ever since the committee was formed, like 3-4 years ago. So, and that was a matter of me, Lou, and one other individual was in the room, and I was the last to touch my nose. So, while I appreciate you guys telling me I do a good job, I'm ready to have somebody else lead, but I will continue to do it. Won't get caught this time. I'll continue to do it if nobody is stepping up. I think it's healthy to have that rotation in there to get some new, and the committee chair, like, honestly, I probably do a lot more than a committee chair is supposed to do. I definitely do a lot more talking, which is my own fault, but the committee chair, like, really is just like running the meetings, right?
Oh, no, you do more than that.
And I do more than that, which isn't necessarily what a committee chair does. It's supposed to be committee, and the committee leads things, and people turn to me for a lot more advice and help than a regular chair does,
Well,
and that's fine.
Your
And
expertise in the computer field is much deeper than most of us.
I can continue to do that. And the chair role is really just, making sure the agenda gets in on time, which I fail out, every once in a while, and we can't find a meeting room, and scheduling and stuff like that is kind of a pain. Not selling it, obviously, but otherwise, the committee chair is really just to facilitate the discussions and move things along. Which also, we're here till 9, so like, also I'm just par with that. So, if anybody wants to take a crack at it and do it, I'm open to it. The same thing. Ed has been doing the vice chair for a while. Again, I don't think you have any complaints about it, but you're, if anybody else wants
Anybody
it.
wants it, Yeah.
And Lou.
I'm no longer the clerk.
Lou is no longer the clerk. He's officially stepping down from that role. I respect you for sticking around as long as you have with it. You've done an amazing job of taking all of our feedback as because we know a lot. There's plenty of it, and a lot of it is probably last minute. So I appreciate your time in doing that. And it's
I have
fair.
to thank my co-editor there.
Oh, yeah, the co-editor. Good to know.
Oh, it's been hours.
So that position is open. I think we have one candidate. I don't want to speak for you.
Oh, yeah, I said I would be happy to do it if Lou would like to give it up. But if he last minute decides he wants to stay and keep it, that's fine too.
Nope, you got it. It's yours.
You don't get this chair back ever.
Oh.
End of discussion, it's yours.
Yeah, so I would like to have like an official, and we have to have a vote on this, right? It has to be, even if we're keeping the same people, we vote on it, we're gonna do it the next meeting. I don't wanna do this one, we're already here late enough. And we'll make it official and call it, just because a legger has stepped forward and wants to do the clerk job, doesn't mean that somebody else couldn't step forward and say, I wanna do the clerk job instead.
Esther said she'd do it, but she's not an official member.
Sorry. I know. Yeah, so we'll have the official vote next time. That'll be on the agenda to have the official vote. And if anybody is interested and wants to state their case, feel free to email the whole group. Can't be a outward discussion, but if you have reasons why you want to do it, and here's the reasons, and you want to email everybody, feel free. Okay, moving quickly through future items pending. Emergency communications team, enhanced town warrant, and website review. Definitely enhanced town warrant is, I think, something to come up after the town meeting. A lot of thoughts that we already gave Steve. They were given a thumbs up and said, we'll do it next year.
Yeah.
So we'll bring them back up to him after this town meeting. Website review might actually curb into less of a review and more sites being updated. I've been in touch with the rec department. Ed's been in touch with the library. It might just be getting more content up there rather than reviewing what's there. But yeah, that's all of that. Additional items for discussion. Any topics not reasonably anticipated by the chair? Anybody? Anything? Great. I don't have anything. Committee member announcements and informal topics. Anything? No.
I already made my announcement.
It's your birthday. Yep. Public comments. Technically, we have public here tonight. Any comments?
Great job. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You can come to any meeting.
All right, deliberate next meeting time. So normally we would do the second Tuesday. Okay. Normally it would be the second Thursday, and then we are moving to Fridays, but Fridays don't work. So we're looking at the week of the 9th through the 13th is the second. That doesn't need to happen. It does sound like Tuesdays or Thursdays are going to be the best dates for doing anything. That everybody said they could either do a Tuesday or Thursday. Some people said they might have to remote in or show up late to things.
If you're looking for the 17th, I'm in the school committee.
Okay. And looks like the 19th is a Thursday, and that's a holiday. It doesn't mean we can't meet, but that is a holiday. So
Actually, wasn't there something on the select board agenda about that making the 20th the holiday and not the 19th?
Is that Juneteenth?
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yes.
20th was gonna be the holiday.
for the town.
Yeah,
Right.
Okay. I think everything else is,
that would be standard, yeah.
So Friday is the holiday.
I will be driving to South Carolina on that day, so I won't be able to make it virtually or in person.
Okay. Should we shoot for like Tuesday the 24th? Give plenty of time for people to figure out scheduling, stuff like that.
Is that too long away?
We want to go monthly,
less than-
less than a month. So
Okay.
if that works for everybody, we can do that. Also,
Are you talking 7 PM here
7 p.m. here.
on the 24th?
Well, assuming here, I can't guarantee it. We'd have to check in the rooms.
Okay.
Let's see, 6:24, 7 p.m. Also, this can be technically a discussion that we can have openly in email, right?
Mhm.
I've said it before, say it again. Deliberating what time we're going to hold a meeting is we could do that with quorum outside of these meetings. So if anybody comes up with issues and we have to figure it all out, we can do that. But that sounds like a good starting point. Is this the 24th?
Just for you to put in your calendar, that means the agenda has to be determined by the 19th.
That's right, because that's going to be the
The
holiday.
24th.
tomorrow.
Holiday.
I'm gonna put it in like tomorrow.
Okay.
So
Okay, by the 18th. The agenda has to be in carried by the 18th. Because she wants 3 days.
And I'll just put it in and then I can put an amendment to it. Okay, any other issues? I hope
I
not.
move we adjourn.
Do we have a second? All those in favor? Aye. All right,
Not bad.
it is 8:39.
That's about typical for us. We're usually about 8:30 something.